Welcome to Shine180, stories of lives transformed for Jesus. I'm here with Hollie, one of my dear friends. I've got the opportunity to watch her grow up. Was able to coach her for years as well, but now as a beautiful young mom, be able to watch her in these next steps of lives. And welcome, Hollie. We're glad you're here today.
Thank you for having me.
So just begin by telling us your story growing up in your childhood.
Yeah, so I grew up in the Christian school, Christian church youth group. I probably spent, 7 out of 7 days a week at church or youth group, Christian parents, Christian everything. And obviously I consider that such a blessing. My parents are still together. My siblings and I all walk with the Lord. Amazing youth pastor, amazing pastors, amazing youth leaders. That is something that I hold very near and dear to my heart. I would say that I started to question my faith in junior high and high school, and watching how other people behaved sort of impacted my walk with Christ more than reading the Bible ever did, in that I've never felt a negative emotion toward the Lord. And I'm so thankful for that. And I attribute that 100% to having an amazing earthly father. But just watching how people behaved and seeing people interact with other people and saying, I like that they do that, or I don't like that they do that. And just trying to model my life to live differently. But then insert sin. And I'm a junior higher and a high schooler. And I remember specifically we were at a revival in the early 2000s. And I love a good revival. I love a good altar call. But I remember feeling so woefully full of sin. And what have you done at the age of 11 and 12 before social media? I'm sure I lied to my parents. I'm sure I fought with my siblings, but just feeling terrible. And I remember crying at church, and my dad came over and just saying, "Dad, I want to be perfect and I can't." And he's like, "Well, then you wouldn't need Jesus if you're perfect." And that was such a pivotal moment in my life. I still think that I am working through that even at 35. But just this idea that I am nothing without God, and just this constant battle of I want to be perfect for him, but just putting myself in a position to let him work in my life instead of trying to earn my salvation. So it hasn't been a complicated walk with Christ, but I would say it's been a heavy walk with Christ, just in that trying to understand how my heart and my mind work and using them to honor him. So
It's beautiful. So through high school, you felt like you rejuvenated your faith walk.
yes.
Then through your college years, you played college volleyball
Yes.
for a year
Yes.
or so. And then tell us about your college years.
Yeah, so I actually went to Pensacola Christian College for 3 semesters. And I wanted to come home so badly. I was so homesick, and my mom basically was like, "No, you cannot." And there was really no reason other than it was a big change far away from home. And I actually had my appendix taken out right before finals of my sophomore year, and ended up getting super sick and had to transfer back to Olivet. So I basically got what I wanted, just without an appendix. And the same thing as high school, I would watch people and I would say, I want Jesus in that way. I hope that people see Jesus in me in that way. And just the joy, even you are someone that I would see that in. But then also battling sin and being like, why can't I be better? Why can't I be nicer? I hate the thoughts in my head. I don't want to be snarky. I don't want to be sarcastic with my thoughts with people. I don't want to be full of bitterness or rage. But then those emotions would come, and I would almost bully myself into I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't know. It was a complex thing, and maybe I made it more complex than it needed to be, but just this control aspect where I kept trying to control who I was and align it to Christ, and trying to do it in my own power, but not realizing. So I don't consider myself an arrogant person, but there is an element of pride there. Without realizing it, I was trying to put myself on the throne. Even though I have the utmost respect and love for my Savior, it was no, I can be perfect, and I want to be perfect. I want to prove it to you. So again, it was just this constant tug and pull, and really just the next few years of my life, I think, humbled me big time with that, because as an adult, you can't control what comes your way oftentimes. So I feel like, again, it's just this back and forth of I want to be so good, I want to bless the world, but then letting God do that through me instead of the other way around.
So what you hit on is so normal, I think, for a young person growing up in a Christian home, because it's similar for me. Like, you strive for perfection because you want to people please.
Yes.
Not just your parents, but your teachers and everybody around you in your walk with the Lord. And sometimes it comes like a ritual instead of like a real heartfelt relationship.
Right.
That you do love the Lord and you do want to do all those things, but it's so intertwined with people pleasing that it does affect your authentic relationship with your Savior.
Right.
And you do have to almost mess up to realize
to wake
that
up.
You need grace. Yeah, you need grace. And I mean, I've experienced that in my life. So you're here at Olivet, made that transfer, and you meet someone.
I didn't actually meet him on campus. It was through mutual friends.
Okay.
He grew up in the area, so we were actually in the same vicinity multiple times in high school and didn't even realize it. And I was like, I'm going to have to move out of Illinois to find anyone that loves the Lord. And then he invited me, or a friend invited me to Bible study at his house. And it quickly was just a friendship, which I enjoyed.
Because you were a student and he was still a student?
He was still a student here, yes.
Yeah.
And I think I specifically said to him, because I had just gotten out of a serious relationship and I was not trying to be a wife anytime soon. I was like, we're just going to be friends. And it was that way. And then it wasn't, because we just started talking about all things deep. And I think we tried to resist it because we both were very similar in that we weren't trying to get into a serious relationship. But then obviously the Lord had other plans with it. So I really enjoyed the friendship building up to it, because we talked about everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's what made me consider this really could be it. Maybe I don't have to move out of Illinois.
Could find the one here. God has different plans.
Yes.
So then fast forward a few years.
Yeah, we actually quickly were engaged shortly after we started dating, but we did wait until we graduated from college to get married.
So you get married, which was a beautiful day. You were a beautiful bride.
Thanks.
I remember being there that day. My daughter was actually one of your flower girls.
Yes.
And then a few years later, you start your family.
Yes.
And you have little Lincoln.
Yes.
Who is now, is he 5?
He's 4.
He's 4.
Yeah.
I won't rush it for you.
He's perfect, yeah.
And then little Bedford.
Little Bedford,
who is now
3. Yeah.
And just tell us about that journey of being a mom.
Yeah, so we waited. My husband was very intentional that we get time together before jumping into it. And I don't know that I would have done things differently. I always envisioned having like a basketball team's worth of children. But then obviously starting later, it kind of limited. And it took a little bit to get pregnant with our first. And I went down that spiral of, I'm not going to be able to have kids. This isn't part of my life. And then I swear it felt like the second I was like, okay, maybe I won't have kids. Then I got pregnant, which everyone said that it works that way. And he's great. He's a ball full of energy. My husband and I comment often just how much he loves life. And the only time he really is down, like any kid, is when they don't get their way. But otherwise, he's pumped the second he wakes up until the second he goes to bed. And I love that. I love that about him. It's such a reminder to find joy in everything. And because it took so long to get pregnant the first time, we were like, surely it won't happen. And then it did. They're only 17 months apart. Normal pregnancy, great pregnancy. I was less stressed that pregnancy. And then at Bedford's 15-month well care, he waddled a little bit, which toddlers waddle. But his pediatrician said, yeah, I'm thinking that maybe we need to look into braces. Again, I wasn't even stressed in that moment because kids wear braces.
Right.
My sister is a nurse, and the way that she was explaining it to me, like, yeah, this is just a normal routine for a lot of kids. We had to go up north for that, and we did a full body x-ray. And when the orthopedic doctor walked in, you could just tell that there was something off. She wasn't scared, but you could just tell that she was thinking, this is beyond my scope of work, which then she ended up saying that to us. And she said, I think we should push for genetics testing. And I did not pay that close enough attention in science classes growing up. So I'm like, I don't even know what that means. I look at my husband, who's very intelligent. He's explaining it to me. And that kickstarted our genetics journey. We did the blood work. My husband and I sent in our sample as well. And we waited, it felt like eternity.
Yeah.
I think it was 3 months. And I was that annoying mom in my chart, like, hey, are my kids' results back yet? No, we'll contact you. And then I took the call, I think it was late August of 2024. And she started rattling off a lot of words that I don't know. Even the name of his condition, Schwartz-Jampel syndrome, is a mouthful. But then she said it is likely that he's in pain constantly. And then I kind of hit mute and didn't really listen to anything else that she said.
Because as a mom,
I was in the car by myself, and it wasn't life or death. And I was thankful for that. But just this like, wow, that's not what I was expecting. And obviously I want to jump into Google while I'm driving. But I get home and I tell my husband, and I can't reiterate hardly anything that she said to me. So he calls her back and talks to her from a very black and white science perspective. And he gets off the phone and he's not alarmed. He's not worked up. But the problem is there's only 150 documented cases globally since the 70s. So you can't I can't really throw this into Chat GPT. I can't Google it really.
Rare.
Chat provides some content, but it's, I wouldn't say that it is definitively accurate, nor is it specific to Bedford because it's so rare. Which that was very disheartening because I'm the type of person who I'm going to Google and research the mess out of this so I can understand the ins and outs of it. And I think that was the first time in my life where I felt so out of control that I couldn't achieve what I wanted to achieve in that moment.
So you really had to rely on, okay, God, you know him. You know what he has.
Yes.
I can't even go to the internet to find the answers.
And then when we went to the genetics team, even they couldn't necessarily provide any, I wasn't looking for reassurance, but they couldn't provide any information where I could walk away feeling like I was educated on it. It was a lot of speculation. It was a lot of, oh, there's some overlap here. We've seen patients with X and he might show signs of that. But it felt like we were doing all of these appointments, and every single appointment, it was just information building. And again, like I've taken the Clifton Strengths test. My number one strength is achiever. If I'm gonna go into something, I'm gonna get it done. So I would go into these appointments and walk away without any clear direction. And he was still a freshly 2, so it was, what can you do? You have to wait and see. He's not fully growing just yet. But we would drive all the way up to Chicago just to drive back without a whole lot of information to do. So yeah, it was a lot of like, okay, Lord, what's next? Like, I want to help my baby, but I don't know how to help my baby. So
a year and a half in is where you're at now.
Yes.
And what God has done with your story and your willingness to obey and be obedient is beautiful. It's beautiful to watch. It's beautiful to be a small part of and to see your journey. But his name, Bedford, let's go back to that. Your favorite movie, It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes.
So Bedford Falls.
Yes. So that took some convincing on my end for Jesse. I've always loved the idea of unique names, and I was thinking, okay, what is and I'm an English teacher, was an English teacher, so I love narrative. And I was like, what is a story that has stuck with me my entire life that I could pull a name from? And there's not a whole lot of names that I really enjoyed in It's a Wonderful Life that I was like, yeah, that's it. And randomly one day I was like, man, Bedford, he could be a lawyer. He could be a lot of a banker someday. And like, that's such a stoic name. And I said it to Jesse, and he was like, I don't know about that. And then his due date was December. So I think it just sort of like happened organically leading up to it. He was like, okay, yeah, that's great.
Right.
But just this whole idea that his name sort of meaning and encompassing each man's life touches so many others. Just this idea that every man's life matters. You have no idea how many people you impact or touch, and if your life wasn't here, how many people's lives would be different. And to see that come to fruition, and he's 3, like it's so like it's all God, all God.
So you started posting on social media, Bedford story. How many months in when you started like sharing his story?
So we got his diagnosis in the fall of 2024. And around Christmas, I started sharing on my personal pages, solely for the purpose of everywhere I went, people were talking to me about him. I would be at the grocery store and someone would run into me. And because it's so rare, I think people felt in the dark just like I did. And so they would come to me looking for updates. And I felt like every time I opened my mouth, I would just cry. And I'm like, I can't keep crying in the grocery store.
Right.
So I was like, I'll post updates. I'll give our community, which we are so blessed with such a large community, but I'll give them very tangible prayer requests. I'll give them tangible updates so they can visualize what's happening.
Which we were so thankful for.
Yeah.
Then when we saw you,
yes,
we didn't have to ask the questions.
Then they didn't have to ask.
Right.
And then it just turned into people were still stopping me in the grocery store because they were so moved by what I said. And it was so encouraging and so inspiring. And so my goal was so people would kind of like let me grieve this, which is kind of selfish, but it is what it is. Right. But then people were coming to me looking to be encouraged. I was like, this is such a weird place to be. Like even in my grieving, people are wanting
more for me,
words of encouragement. So then I started posting on TikTok in 2025 for the sole purpose of wanting to use hashtags. So we were in a Facebook group for Schwartz-Jampel syndrome, and there were maybe 100 or so people in there, but most of them were foreign. They posted maybe once a year. So that was probably the first suggestion people said was, oh, join a Facebook support group. But it's so rare that there's no one in the support group. So I started posting with hashtags on TikTok thinking that'll reach a broader audience. And I would post and then not open for a week because it's too easy to doom scroll on TikTok. And one day I had made a post when we were at a park on one of the rare sunny spring days, realizing for the first time that with my older son who's wanting me to jump and run up on the equipment with him, and I couldn't bring Bedford with me without carrying him. And because Bedford's so stiff because his muscles makes him hard to carry, I was like, man, you don't realize playgrounds don't vibe with your kid when you have one who can't get from point A to point B. And then my older boy is missing out. So I just made a post. I wish if I had all the money in the world, I'd make every park Bedford friendly. And I hopped back on TikTok, and that had blown up to like 1 million views because people were so confused, specifically in the United Kingdom, because there is a town or something named Bedford. So they were like, what? This is so confusing. Who is Bedford? And I remember going to my husband and being like, who did not like TikTok at the time, was like, I'm sorry, I did a thing and it went viral. So that was probably a 2 or 3 day conversation of like what just happened.
We're about to be TikTok famous.
Yeah.
Are you
and
okay
then
with
it seemed like every single thing that I post, people were just here to see Bedford. And
his little life has encouraged so many.
And then in May of 2025, working at Grace, when I was picking up Lincoln one day, I walked up to the principal and was just whimsically talking to him about a dream to have a better playground option at Grace. Because I was just thinking, when he starts school, if he wants to be out there with his friends, he will either be standing right next to the teacher, or the responsibility will be on the teacher to carry him all throughout the playground, which is not realistic. And I cannot be there with him to help him foster independence. So I told the principal, like, I'm going to figure out how to get a playground. And I'm like, this should be easy. Like, I'll just find someone to donate. And then I realized and researched and looked up how much playgrounds actually cost, and it's astronomical. So I'm thinking, well, surely there are grants out there. There's something, someone can help lead me in the way. Just show me what to do. I don't know anything about grant writing, but I'll learn. And I had a few conversations with city people. People heard that I wanted to do it and connected me with this person, but it wasn't going anywhere. And then I just started praying, like, Lord, if you want me to make this playground happen, like, put me in front of the people that I need to be in front of. Like, connect me with the people that I need to connect with, because I have no idea. And honestly, I wasn't chasing after it that hard, but that was my prayer almost every single night going to bed. Because I want my son at Grace. I want him to be able to play with his friends. There is such a great community for him. And I was quickly realizing, I don't know if that's going to happen. And less than, it was like 3 weeks later, someone commented on one of Bedford's TikToks and was like, I've been trying to get a hold of you. I tried to message you, but you only message once on TikTok and it doesn't let you message anymore. My mom works for an inclusive playground company. Please reach out. So I did, and he sent me the website, and it looked very credible. I told my husband about it. I shot them an email and said, hey, so-and-so tagged us. I don't know how what to say next, but I'm trying to build a
Right.
playground. Can you help me? And we set up a Zoom call. And that first Zoom call, the two women that we spoke with, the founder of the nonprofit Unlimited Play, she had started it, same position that I was in. Her boy didn't have a place to play. And she created, I want to say it was close to $1 million playground. And when they did the ribbon cutting for it, so many mayors and large name people came and were like, can you come do this in my town? And she's like, no, this was too much work. I cannot do it again. And then the nonprofit became a thing, and they've built inclusive playgrounds all over the United States. So she was telling us her story. And again, I don't know what I was thinking, but I was thinking they were just going to coach me in like
How to do it.
Right. Like, here's how you apply for grants, not like help me do it. So like, let us talk to our team. Let's see our grant writing team. So then a week later, I was getting my hair cut, and she emailed me and said like, hey, can you hop on a Zoom call? We have some exciting news to tell you. And again, my mind went to, they got us a grant for $10,000,
Right.
and this will be the start of it. And I had to hop on the audio, not the video, because I had the tinfoil in my hair. And I went outside, and when I got on the call, they were already kind of emotional. And they couldn't see me, but I could see them. And I was just waiting for what they were going to say. And they said, hey, we're so moved by Bedford's story. We host an annual gala every October. And we would love to feature Bedford at the gala. And Little Tykes is going to match whatever we raise that night. And I remember being like dumbfounded. Like, I'm standing here with my cape and my tinfoil in my hair. Like, what is happening? You don't even know us. Like, you're complete strangers. Like, why are you choosing to bless us? And I say into the phone, like, Jesse, could you, I don't know, say anything right now? And it pans to him in the Zoom call, and he's crying. And we say to them, like, you don't know us. And so then everyone's crying on the phone call. So then a few months later, we went to the gala in St. Louis and got to speak on stage and share our story, and walked away that night with a match with about $270,000 toward his playground.
And now 4 months later, you're really close.
And
to
now
the
4
goal.
months later, we are so close. We have, again, like, taken it to social media, and people from all over the world are wanting to give, but the link for Unlimited Play is specific to the United States. And we're then having conversations with them like, hey, someone in Germany wants to donate to this. And they're like, well, we'll have to figure out how to make this work. So then they're like, well, can we PayPal you? So now people are PayPaling my husband, and there's like 45 countries that have given to Bedford's Playground, like strangers all around the world. And then throughout this entire process, whether because we're getting traction because of the playground or not, I don't know, we have connected with, I want to say it's 7 to 10 other kids who have Schwartz-Jampel syndrome. Like, I just had someone message me yesterday from Brazil. They just found out. They're so discouraged, but they feel so encouraged watching our story on social media that this isn't the end of their life. This isn't the end of this person, their kid's life. People have gotten walkers because they've seen that Bedford had a walker. We've been able to tell them what medicines have worked. So it's just been such a cool, like, God's hand in all of it.
Right.
Like, I posted the videos, I wrote the words, but then God shared it. So,
Well, I think what's amazing being able to be on the sidelines of your story is that even as an English teacher, I mean, you had all of my kids during junior high, made them incredible writers. They're now all three in college, and they don't struggle with writing because of you and they're a high school English teacher as well. But I'm thankful that watching this and how this story unfolds, you're such a beautiful writer, and being able for God to use that even as a tool for you to be an outlet for you. But then, you said 45 countries, but think about how many millions of views, and you're giving the glory to God.
Yeah.
Like, you're pointing Bedford's story straight back up to our Creator. And I think how God is using that, all your talents and Bedford's story, and He is so full of joy.
Yeah.
Like, I remember just this past fall when you came for Josiah Queen, and one of his favorite songs is Can't Steal My Joy.
Yes.
And we sent that video to Josiah Queen, and he sent him a video, and he was able to meet him. And then he came here in September, and you wrote Josiah a note, and I think that really touched him and his wife as well. But you're using your story to encourage other people in the Lord and in their faithfulness. And, these other rare cases that are out, we don't know what their walk is, if they even have a relationship with Jesus, but you do. And I think it's so incredible that you're using it to point people back to Jesus. So tell me how you and Jesse have stayed on course in your faith walk in the midst of this in the past 2 years.
It has been hard. Not the faith aspect necessarily. I would say for both of us, it has made us lean on him more. Neither of us are naturally bent toward anger, and neither of us felt, again, like we need to raise our fists to the Lord for doing this to us, because there's this weird, like two things can be true at the same time. This is so heavy, but then it's so full of joy too, that it's very hard to even sit in discouragement for too long, even on the hard days, because we'll wake up the next day, and I call them God nods, but there's just so many times that the Lord has intervened or interwoven, and it's usually through people that he has done that in the last 2 years. Like the way that community has reminded us of the beauty of our Savior. Like I can't even put that into words, and I usually can put most things into words. But being so different than my husband, I'm the emotional one. I will walk out of appointments feeling like I just got shot in the stomach, and he'll look to me and be like, why are you so downcast? Like, tell me what you heard. And I will relay what I heard the doctor say. And he'll often look at me and be like, were we in the same room?
The beauty of the difference between men and women.
Because it's so easy for me to encourage others, but I do funnel things through a very glass half empty for my own life. And that is something that he has called me out on. Like even up to a few days ago, if I'm starting to feel heavy or discouraged about something, he'll sit me down and be like, we're building a playground for our boy. Like we are almost there. And it's been hard on our marriage. Like we have fought and disagreed on many things. But just the way that we come back to it at the end, Bedford has almost been like, it's been the biggest stress in our marriage, but it's also, I would say, been the most holy balm almost in our marriage, where it has healed and called to action parts of our lives that I feel like maybe wouldn't have been addressed without Bedford's life. So it's easy to say that, yeah, Bedford's impacting so many around the world, but he's impacting the people in his home so much too and doesn't even realize it. So it's been hard. We pray every night, and just really trying to be intentional with the way that we choose to raise our boys and relying on the Lord too. That's probably been the heaviest thing on my heart with Bedford's diagnosis is at some point he's going to realize he's different. Yeah. And at some point he is going to have to make the decision, am I going to raise my fist at God? Right. Or am I going to realize that my life is a gift? Right. So I feel like doing my absolute best to put him in a position to just see the blessings that have come from just his life. Like I'm so excited for him to realize how beautiful his life is. And I pray the Lord's protection on his thoughts daily.
And God just knew the perfect parents to give Bedford, right? He orchestrated all of that. So I know music is a big part of your worship music in particular is a big part of your story, just because the videos you post and they're always to worship music, it seems like, or your little boys, in the car, just pouring out their hearts to Jesus. And it's so moving. Tell us how that has been a help in your walk and in your fight, like to stay on the right course.
It almost feels like it has music has always tethered me to the Lord. I'm not a musician, but I'm so easily moved by the beauty of the fine arts. And I wish I could sing. I wish I could play an instrument. But the way that music can instantly give you goosebumps or just hit you in your heart in a different way. I've always been that kind of person. But then add in the beauty of lyrics, and as someone, again, who loves narrative, just applying those lyrics to my life. And I would say oftentimes, like even last night, I went to bed thinking, I don't even know what to pray, Lord. But just having scripture or having lyrics on constant repeat. And then adding a whole new layer of hearing your children belt out worship songs. My commutes daily are never very long that I have music on all the time. And Bedford usually is the DJ requesting songs. It's usually Danny Go, but
he's the DJ. So cute.
Lincoln actually was like last night, "Hey mom, can we listen to Can't Steal My Joy?" And we haven't listened to it in a few weeks. And the way that they belt it out and try to be funny while they're singing it too.
And dance.
Bedford actually was like, "Mom, hold my water bottle," because he needed his hands. I don't know. It's beautiful to hear. And then as soon as that song's done, "Mom, play Fly Away." And that's one of Bedford's songs. And those lyrics especially, just like "I'll fly away," just the fact that my boy can't walk well. And just the idea of someday he will. And then immediately right after that, Lincoln's like, "Mom, I want to play that one song that you like." I'm like, "Thank you. That's not specific at all." That one, "Our God." And I'm like, well, there's lots of different versions that have those two words in it. So like, what specifically? And I remember being in chapel once at his school and thinking, I think I know what he's talking about. It's by Phil Wickham. Turn it on, and he's like, "I don't think that's it." And then it starts playing. I was, "Yes, this is it, Mom."
Oh, I love it.
And just belting out, and he doesn't know all the lyrics, but he knows enough that I don't know, it's holy. And
childlike faith.
If I want to juke my attitude or my heart posture in anything, I usually will turn on music. I'll go for a walk in my neighborhood, or I'll go for a walk somewhere else. I'll blast it in the kitchen. And the one recently that has just done it for me is Good Plans. I could just listen to that on repeat and just visualizing the Lord speaking that directly to me, because it's so easy, I think, it would be very easy for me to play the "woe is me" card. It'd be very easy for me to slip into darkness, especially during the winter gloomy months. But just using music sort of as a life preserver. Like, it's the Lord throwing it out to me in the water to help me out. And it's so cool that oftentimes the person that's throwing out the buoy or the life preserver, whatever, like it's someone that I love, like you, or it's a stranger throwing it out to me. And just, if I can be that to other people with my words, by putting that song in the background of my boy doing something. I don't know if people listen to the songs. I don't know if anyone even reads my captions. But on the off chance that one person does, then I'm going to use that platform for good. So,
well, I think what's amazing is you've walked through some hard things with me as well. And a lot of our texting exchange is songs.
Right.
Like, "Hey, have you heard this one?"
Right.
Or even if we know we've heard it, "Hey, listen to this phrase in this song."
Right.
And I know some of the other friendships you've done that back and forth as well. You share songs because you know the heartache and you know what God means to us, and that He is the answer. And I know that sounds cliche, but He is the one that is going to not necessarily pull you out of the furnace and the fire, but hold your hand while you're doing it. Okay, so I have to have you tell me the story, because I think Josiah is going to want to hear this. When shortly after you guys met Josiah Queen here at Olivet, little Bedford and Lincoln were in the car. And tell me the story of what unfolded. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. They're at that age where they want to tattle and correct each other all the time. "Mom, Bedford hit me," or "Mom, Lincoln's not sharing." And I forget what I said. They were arguing about something. And Lincoln says to Bedford, like, "God wouldn't be happy with you right now," which that's coming from school and church and all that and whatever. And then he says to Bedford, "I'm going to tell Josiah." And Bedford about lost his mind. "Mom, he's going to," I'm like, "Oh my word." I was like, "No, he's not, buddy."
He's not going to.
But the fact that he used it as like a disciplinary tool in his 4-year-old mind. I don't know. It was funny. Like, "No, don't tell I think Josiah is like their friend. Like, we have people over to our house almost every single night, and they're like, Josiah's just like anyone else. Like, they talk first name basis.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I mean, he is. You wrote him notes. You met him.
Yeah.
So thank you for being with us today and sharing your story and being real with us. I know it's probably very rare that somebody is walking through the same exact circumstances that you might be walking through, but obviously you're walking through something hard. So if you could share one thing to someone who's listening that's walking through those hard waters, into that valley right now, what is the one piece of advice that you would give them?
Something that Bedford's life has reminded me of over and over again, you've heard me say this before, he did not get to choose his rare, but I do. And I'm not facing a rare genetic condition. I'm not limited in my mobility, but I do walk through hard things, and we all get a choice on whether or not we're going to choose to live rare in that situation.
Mm.
And I was thinking of this just yesterday. It would be easy for me to sit here and think that my life's purpose is solely in parenting Bedford or building this playground. But what if my actual testimony and the thing that the Lord is framing in my life is my response and choosing to have joy despite the hard, and just reframing the way that I view things and what would be, because rare is the narrow path to Jesus. And I could behave like the world. I could respond like the world. I could go to people who would affirm and justify all of those responses, or I can choose to live rare, just like my baby. So just this idea that no matter what you're facing, no matter what your heart is, we all get a choice on how we are going to respond to what we're dealt. And I think that is how the Lord is going to use us the most. And my friend Katie and I have had so many conversations this last year about it. And she brought up in her testimony that Job did not get to see why he went through all of that. And who do we refer to the most in the Bible for going through hard things? And he did not get to witness, because it's so different when you're on the end of, I get to see everyone that's being encouraged by this. He never got that. Right. So just this idea of choosing to live rare regardless, that might be our biggest testimony in this life.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Hollie.
Yep.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening today to Shine 180, Stories of Lives Transformed for Jesus. If you're interested in sharing your story, reach out at shine.fm.